I'm Laura Tragi, and I'm Veronica's mom.
I'm Lauren Evans, and I'm Veronica's cousin.
I'm Shirley Spreitzer, Veronica's grandmother.
I'm Faith Evans, I'm Veronica's aunt.
I'm Veronica Tragi, these are my note cards. We serial killers are your sons, we are your husbands, we are everywhere. This truly terrifying quote was uttered by the infamous Ted Bundy, one of America's most prolific serial killers. With this quote comes the realization that his words are true, that serial killers could be anywhere and anyone. Men like Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer are the stuff of nightmares, inspiring movies like Silence of the Lambs and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which have terrified viewers for generations. As scary as these movies are, real life can be even worse, as seen in the rising popularity of true crime documentaries and TV shows. The relevancy of this topic in today's society makes cases that are decades old important again in the public eye. There is one case in particular that for years and years haunted and confused the entire nation. The Zodiac Killer, and the mystery that surrounds him, not only terrorized the citizens of California, but also toyed with the entire police department and inspired other mentally unstable persons to follow in his sadistic footsteps. With this speech, I hope to inform you about author Robert Graysmith's personal experiences with the Zodiac Killer, his effect on the nation as a whole, and the atrocious legacy that he left behind. I also hope to encourage you to see that this case is an important example of Ted Bundy's quote, and the notion that its unsolved status does not nullify the huge effect that it had on the nation. Robert Graysmith, author of Zodiac and Zodiac Unmasked, was born on September 17, 1942. He began working for the San Francisco Chronicle in 1969 as a political cartoonist. When he began this job, he had no intention of getting involved in one of the biggest serial killer cases America has ever seen. It all began when the Zodiac started sending coded letters describing his murders and future crimes to the San Francisco Chronicle. The problem was no one could figure out what these letters said. No one except Graysmith. He soon became the go-to man for decoding these cryptic letters and was able to provide important information regarding the crimes to the police and the general public. Before long, Graysmith became obsessed with finding the killer. It became his entire life. Luckily, the constant toiling was not without reward. After years of searching, he finally found the man he believed to be the Zodiac Killer, Arthur Lee Allen. In the late 60s and early 70s, the Zodiac was in his prime. He killed as many as 37 people in this time period, focusing mainly on couples in the dark, secluded areas of California. He stalked them, posing as a police officer, and then brutally murdered them using his sharp shooting skills acquired through years of hunting. There was only a small group of people who survived these attacks, and all of them were men. Allen, like many serial killers, had problems with his parents, specifically his mother. According to Robert Graysmith's book, Zodiac Unmasked, he hated his mother because of her extremely overbearing nature. She often pushed he and his submissive father around, while favoring her eldest son, Ron Allen. This strong resentment for his mother led to his lifelong hatred of all women, which is why when he targeted couples, he took out his aggressions on women and forgot about the men, which Michael Butterfield focuses on in his article, The Zodiac Killer, A Case Study. This characteristic about the Zodiac crimes specifically terrified the female residents of Vallejo, where most of the murders took place, and its encompassing towns, with good reason too. As if horrifying the civilians of cities all over California was not enough, The Zodiac shamelessly taunted the police. Along with the coded letters, he sent pieces of clothing and handwritten cards challenging the police to catch him. He always seemed to be right out of their grasp. The police spent years trying to catch the man terrorizing their once peaceful towns, to no avail. Police departments from all over the state got involved, but the Zodiac outwitted them all. He had one major advantage. Most of the crimes were committed in overlapping jurisdictions, which meant that multiple police departments from multiple cities were investigating the same murder cases. One wouldn't think this would be a big problem, but it was. Each department wanted to be the one who catch the infamous killer, and instead of working together with other cities' police departments, each of them held information for themselves, which slowed down the entire process. Jurisdiction also unfortunately prevented the FBI from getting involved in these Californian murders, which was emphasized in the article "The Zodiac Killer" on the FBI's official website. The Zodiac knew this and used it to his advantage. After decades of hard work, the San Francisco police finally got close to nabbing the killer. Thanks to Graysmith, the corroboration of other police departments throughout the state, and outside Zodiac enthusiasts obsessed with solving the mystery, they were fairly positive that Allen was the man in question. After years of searching for the killer, now retired detectives Bill Armstrong and Dave Toschi finally had a chance at catching the most elusive serial killer California had ever seen. Unfortunately, it did not take long for the Zodiac to realize that the police were hot on his trail and virtually disappeared off the face of the earth. Many people thought the Zodiac had disappeared for good, and they were relieved, but Robert Graysmith knew better. This was not the end of the Zodiac's rampage. After laying low for a while, he soon began to target collegiate women. One well-known fact about Arthur Lee Allen was that he was a permanent student. He had numerous majors and went to many different colleges. This gave him the perfect opportunity to stalk and attack young women leaving campuses at night. Only a couple of women evaded his attacks and were able to provide a description of the man who assaulted them. They described a strong, stocky, middle-aged man who walked with a limp. Now, of course, this described Allen perfectly, but unfortunately police only had circumstantial evidence linking Allen to the crimes. These murders were just as frightening, if not more, than the others said. They made people realize that the Zodiac Killer was alive and well, and he was still killing. Time went on, and eventually Allen grew too old to carry out his gruesome crimes. With the Zodiac seemingly incapacitated, would California finally see peace? The answer to that question is no. Allen's crimes accomplished something even more terrifying than the crimes themselves. He inspired others to do as he did, killing innocent people for sport. This time, however, the murders were not contained to California. In the 90s, a man by the name of Eddie Seda carried out murders imitating the Zodiac crimes in New York City, New York. Thankfully, after killing 3 people and wounding 4, he was finally apprehended by the police. He was not the only copycat, though. The next set of Zodiac copycat murders was carried out in Kobe, Japan, by a 14-year-old boy named Sato Sakakibara. He killed 2 of his classmates using Graysmith's book Zodiac as an instruction manual of sorts to be just like his hero, the Zodiac. In his book, Zodiac Unmasked, Robert Graysmith explains how these cases devastated him. His vision for the books were to help people catch the Zodiac, not to inspire people to act as he did. He felt responsible for the deaths of these innocent men, women, and children. These cases make the Zodiac's crimes that much more disturbing. The fact that his influence spread throughout the world made him that much more powerful, and it had that much more of an effect on the entire country and the world. "I just like to kill. I wanted to kill," is yet another of Ted Bundy's charming quotes, which shows the deep, dark thoughts and desires of those we call serial killers. The Zodiac Killer fits the statement perfectly, and I hope that by learning about his impact on California, as well as the nation as a whole, and the disturbing inspiration that he gave others makes you see the mark he left on history. I hope it made you realize that an old cold case from the 1970s can still be relevant and strongly affect the country today. In fact, the case's unsolved condition might make it even more terrifying than other true crime reports, because after all, the Zodiac Killer was never caught, and you never know where you might find him, unless he finds you first.